That's how we own it.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Tamika D, Mallory.
And it's your boy, Mysonne, the General.
And we are your hosts of Street Politicians, the place where the streets and politics meet. What's going on, Mice? I'm like glued to the TV today. Actually, what's happening now has to do with Steve Bannon, which is a whole different set of circumstances. But the Kyle Rittenhouse trial is happening. Obviously, folks know we tape a couple days before the episode actually airs. And so today, the information may be a little bit different. It may be a little delayed from what was actually taking place at the time that we taped this episode. But we watched as the weapons charges, most of the weapons charges were thrown out of the case. And so somehow or another, a decision was made that the weapons that Kyle Rittenhouse had with him were inadmissible in the trial, but particularly in the closing arguments, and in terms of what the jury instructions are for what they can take back with them after closing arguments. I do not understand. And I know I'm not a lawyer, and I haven't had a chance today to have a conversation with lawyers and understand, but I'm on text threads with a number of legal professionals and lawyers, and I don't see anybody giving an explanation that makes sense about this at all.
Because it doesn't make sense, man. Because it's the same old what we call it, kangaroo court, man. That we've seen, we've witnessed it. I've been involved in it. I've been a victim of these kangaroo courts, and it always seems that some people have the complexion for the protection, man. And it just really makes no sense that we even have to have these conversations and constantly keep seeing these injustices, occur, and people get mad when we say we don't have faith in the system, like when people just don't care about the system. And we want to believe that there's a system that works, that there's a system of accountability, there's a system of fair and equal treatment, that everyone is created equally and all these things, but it just doesn't happen that way. And this is a classic example. We've seen the writing on the wall from the beginning with this situation, how a majority of white America has supported this man and invested.
Not a majority.
Well, listen to me. He had a GoFundMe that raised how much money?
I don't know, but it was a lot.
It was a lot of money. So you understand what I'm saying? And you won't see, let that have been a black man, they would have threw him under the jail, or GoFundMe, they would have funded his ass in the jail, and he would have still been in jail.
Probably would have died.
He probably would have got killed because he would have never made it back home at all, anywhere. So at the end of the day, this is the things that we're dealing with. And once again, another atrocity, man. So,
Well, let's just hope, again, by the time this episode airs, I hope that the closing arguments are finished and that the jury has made a decision to convict Kyle Rittenhouse of murder. I don't even know what all his charges are, but I know he shouldn't walk free. And I think his mother should also face some charges because she had her son in the car bringing him across state lines with weapons that she knew he was not supposed to have. And then he goes out and kills. Now, in our situation, right? First of all, if you put your child in a school that is outside the school district, you can do 5 years, like Sister Crystal Mason. Is someone that was accountable for her actions, right? Related to her child going to school somewhere that she should not have gone. And in fact, her father lived in the district, right? You have situations where because of a child's truancy, parents are picked up and arrested. I just would love to see the numbers. Some people will argue, oh, Tamika, it happens to everybody. It's not just, okay, well, show me the numbers. Yeah. Show me how many white families where their children cut school have been arrested for the truancy of their child. Yeah. I want to see it. If it compares. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either, man. I look at my case, I got convicted of a gun that I never had. that nobody ever found, never seen. I got convicted of a weapons and sentenced to 2 to 4 years for a weapon that was never found or even seen ever anywhere.
2 to 4 years. What are you talking about? 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, that was that was one of the charges, but the robbery charges superseded that because it was the highest count. So it was 4 to 8, and then it was 3 to 6. And then underneath charges were weapons possessions, 2 to 4 years for weapons possession. And it's 2 to 4. So the highest counts, they add those two together, the 3 to 6 and the 4 to 8 to get my sentence. The lower counts were superseded, but I was sentenced to 2 to 4 years for weapons possession that I never had and nobody ever saw. Never anything.
Well, that's kind of that. Well, see, not understanding, you have to understand the legal system, because I'm sure going into it, you had no idea about this and this layer and that and the judge and all the things that happen with your attorney. And so I'm just saying that in these situations, it seems like, to your point, that that white people have a complexion for protection, like you said. That's it. I mean, that's my thought. But tell me what this sweatshirt means that you have on today.
Oh, it means fuck it. Fuck it. If you don't care, if I don't, if you got a problem with me, fuck you. Fuck it. Fuck you. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
So everybody that has a problem with you is fuck you.
Yeah, fuck it. Listen, everybody. You put a post up yesterday, right? That resonated. I'm very stubborn. I'm very prideful, have a lot of ego. I hate to, my name to be talked about. I hate to be discredited. I hate somebody lying on me. A lot of things that I have certain things that, I take pride in. And then, the post that you put up yesterday just resonated with me. And I want to, what did it say? It said this, and it really just made me think, after you always say it, I'm kind of hard-headed. I don't listen to shit most of the time. Sometimes I'll be like, man, fuck that. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And I'm gonna do what I want to do most of the time. But when you said, I stopped beefing with people when I realized they felt important being an enemy. That was like the realest thing. I realized that there are people who just you acknowledging them as an adversary, not even saying their name, but just the fact that they feel that you acknowledge them as someone who is even equal to be an adversary or counter anything to what it is that you do, gives them some level of power. And right. I said, you know what? At this point, I've exhausted, I've done whatever I had to do. And anybody that's not on my wavelength, that's not about progression, that's not doing any work that's I can't benefit from, I can't even allow to have space in my mind. So, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm not engaging in discourse with people that don't even deserve discourse. I'm not engaging in anything with somebody that's not helping me grow or I'm not helping grow. So, this shirt symbolizes where I'm at. Fuck it. Fuck you. Fuck it. And my hat, my new hat, honorable, because that's what it is I believe I am. So this represents my whole mood right now. Fuck you because I'm honorable.
Listen, I have nothing to say. And today, fuck the court.
You got your Protect Black People shirt.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I have on I put this on today because when I woke up, I realized there were 2 trials happening in 2 different places across this damn country. And both of them are incredibly painful for Black people. In the Kyle Rittenhouse matter, and someone said this to me, Reverend Stephen Green said today, and it really struck me when I said, I don't know that people will respond and be as upset and impacted by Kyle Rittenhouse being exonerated as other situations that we've seen when people really have been emotional and hurt, and where it's impacted, especially white people, to see how bad it is because his victims were white, right? And Stephen's response to me was the original victim. He didn't say Kyle Rittenhouse's, but the original victim was Jacob Blake, a Black man who was shot and paralyzed in Kenosha. And that is what precipitated the response, the outrage that brought Kyle Rittenhouse to that town.
That's a fact.
And why he killed other people who were there protecting Black lives. The other situation is in New Brunswick, Georgia, where a mother has to sit and listen to people talking about all this other stuff, except the fact that these men, the McMichaels, were not, and plus their other, whatever the other guy's name is, they were not the police. They were not in any way authorized. They were not the owners of the home. They were in no way authorized to take their funky asses, their racist, evil, callous asses out there to hunt down a man who they saw him. They saw him. They saw Ahmaud Arbery going to that house, checking it out, and similar to George Zimmerman, hunting Black people is a sport to some white folks, particularly to some white men. Putting Black people's lives in danger with their tears is a specific thing that white women do, some white women, too many of them. But hunting Negroes, President Biden, hunting Negroes is something that white men specifically get off on. And so when they saw Ahmaud, they said, he didn't know, he was oblivious, believing that he could run in America and just dream about this new project, this new house, looking at it coming together. The same way that white people were able, kids were able to dream going in that house over and over again. They have the footage to show it, but they saw a Black boy, healthy, running, and they love it. It literally brings them to goddamn orgasm to see a Black, attractive, strong man, and they cannot keep their nasty, filthy hands off of Black men. And so they hunted him down, and here's a Black woman having to sit there and listen and then further watch the video. That if it had not, the people, oh, Sean King this and Lee Merritt that, guess what? If it had not been for the work that Sean King, Lee Merritt, and Chris Stewart and others, all of these attorneys and activists and advocates that got together and kept pressuring the system, kept bringing us up to speed and keeping us in the loop. If it were not for the work that they did, where first of all, they created out of what they believed happened, some visuals to bring us to the moment. And then the video comes out and we see Ahmaud Arbery being hunted and then blown away damn near, shot to death. That mother's sitting there watching that. And it's too many of us that are trying to go to work, go to travel, do this, do that, all this other shit. And meanwhile, in the back of our minds, we know that Black people are not protected. So that's why today I wore this. So I guess that's kind of like my thought of the day. I had other things because I was going to ask. They didn't want the weapons conversation. They were lifting the weapons charge. And as they were talking about later on during the prosecutor's closing statements, he mentioned the weapons again. And it caused more dialogue in the court that the judge had to speak to about whether it was okay for the weapon to even be mentioned at all, right? And so in the midst of this conversation, the judge is hemming and hawing, can't get his words out straight. And it seemed to me that he was prepared in his mind to protect Kyle Rittenhouse. That's how it's been throughout this entire trial, throughout the whole process. And I was thinking to myself, do white people have like a phone, a bat phone that they call each other on? Like, how do they transmit the message that
message is that we protect our own. There's no other message. They see a white boy walk into the room and they empathize, right? The same empathy and the same, grace that we want them to give our children, and understanding that we want to give young Black kids that come from nothing, that commit crimes that they believe are detrimental and heinous, and we don't want to be put on death row for crimes that you commit, very young, and we don't want to have life imprisonment, and we want to be able to have opportunities after these things. They look at their own people as human beings. They don't look at us that way. So it's not about, there's no sign. The sign is that white boy walked in here, and and it was against some shit that the niggers had going on anyway. It was based on some nigger that we already said those people shouldn't have been out there protesting for that nigger anyway. So those are nigger lovers. And we're gonna make sure that the man who protect the nigger lovers is safe and he's protected, because he's
the man that protect the nigger, or the man who was willing to kill?
The man that was killed, exactly. The man who killed the nigger lovers is protected. So, and this is what it comes down to. And it's not hard, and people want to act like that those ain't the facts, and that's not the reality. But it sure is. And, and it's in this same scenario plays over every time.
It does. And I guess the larger question that we will not get into today, because we've got two incredible guests that we've got to bring on, talking about mental health. We still trying to deal with this thing, and we got to keep going there, man. We got to keep getting into the heart of this mental health crisis. And then as we're going towards the holidays, people they starting to spend that money. It's like what they say, the corporations is like, make it dance, bring that money in. We're going to be talking about that with two incredible people, one being Precious Avorkliyah, who is a licensed psychotherapist, and then the other being Shakera Green, who is a financial activist. And so with those two coming on, we want to keep it short, even though I'm running my mouth. But it just begs the question, do we as Black people have a bat phone? Do we have a bat phone to call one another and say, I'm with you? I don't know if I want to live in a world, Mice, where just because a person is Black, they could do anything, they could kill innocent people, and I support that. But I'm also being very honest and saying that I'm tired of us always being the ones that have to do right, that have to be right. And yet we are up against a diabolical enemy that doesn't have the same moral compass. I just don't know, so that's just.
It is, man. It's a very convoluted and fucked up place to be, right? You want justice, but you watch your people never get justice for so long that you even start to root for the villain. You start to root for things that you think they should be held accountable, but you like, ain't nobody else being held accountable. I want to see us beat the system once in a while.
Yeah.
And it's a fucked up place to be in, where that's the mindset that we have to have, or we not really have to, we feel like we have to have. So, the whole theory of justice is just a theory for me right now. And it's sad.
That's how we own it. That's how we own it.
So now another friend joins us on the show. We talked earlier today about this firebrand, brilliant young woman that I came to know through BBM, which is the Bond Brand Management Agency, where Latoya Bond manages both of us, me more so than you, because you are unmanageable. But that's for a different day's conversation. And, one of the great things about having small agencies that specifically focus on Black folks and understanding all the issues that we have within us. It is having an agency that knows that it's not just PR, it's not just the marketing and all the work that has to get done, but it's also having people around who tap into the spiritual realm, who tap into the mental health realm. And Precious has been that. And I always am so afraid to say her name, but as she would say, I always get it right. So Precious Avorkliyah, again, a friend of ours, a friend to street politicians. And I'm so happy to have this young woman on. And just to reiterate who she is and her great accomplishments. She is a licensed psychotherapist. She is an author, and she is a mental health advocate and activist in her own right. So Precious, thank you so much for joining Street Politicians today.
Thank you guys for having me. I am thoroughly enjoying the work that you guys are doing, the commentary. You guys are spot on every time. I'm in the back whooped in, y'all on and everything. So thank you.
We appreciate you, man. So how's it been going? Like, what are you doing right now? What have you been focusing on right now?
So as you guys may know, I've been in the mental health industry for quite some time now, for well over 10 years. And I started out with a group practice, and several years ago, I decided to open my own practice, Modern Therapy Now, which we've been open now and thriving for about 4 years. And my intention behind that was because I wanted to tailor make my approaches to the Black and Brown community. As a psychotherapist, traditionally, you're really trained to be a blank slate, right? Don't say too much, don't be too much, don't take up too much space in the room. But as you guys may know, that really marginalizes a lot of people. You can't tell many people about their deep-seated truths if they don't have a sense of who you are. So I decided that I was going to take a different approach. I was going to be transparent. I was going to be my whole self. I was going to be, all of the hey girl, hey, as well as, the clinical jargon and so on and so forth. So right now I'm really thriving with working with a lot of Black and Brown individuals, and it's been doing great.
Yeah. So what you just decided to go to school to be a psychotherapist? Like, what was the process? What's the journey towards that? Because there may be other people out here who are like, this is what I think I should be doing. Like, what is the thing that comes up in you that says this is the field that I should be in? And just as a point of reference, a little FYI, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm glued to the TV because the Kyle Rittenhouse trial is happening. And so I have it running. Usually we don't, but today is a day that I think is important for us all to be tuned in. So excuse me for that. It's not a distraction, hopefully, but just wanted to say that.
Absolutely. I totally understand. I've been, checking in here and there in between sessions as well. So I think I'm one of those rare stories where I really did set out to impact individuals in some kind of way. I didn't really know what to call it early on, but I knew that I was really interested and intrigued by human behavior and all of people's complexities. You know what I mean? I've seen mental health concerns throughout my family. I've been personally impacted by it. I know many people have. And I just noticed that I had a way with connecting with people and being able to support them and help them move towards their goals. Right now, I've taken a special interest in work-life balance. I've had so many conversations with women in particular, but women and men alike, where the greatest strain is trying to figure out how to be everything that they want to be for others. And just finding that it's the expectation itself that really throws a lot of people off balance. So really approaching work-life balance from a place of let's understand what our individual needs and strengths are, and then help that match the way we're experiencing the world.
That's crazy, because I think that's one of the hardest thing to do is just have a work-life balance, especially when you're trying to be successful, when you're embarking on new endeavors, when you're a creative person, when you're an entrepreneur. Like, what is the key? Like, give us some keys that you think it is to balancing work and life and being comfortable and not driving yourself crazy and working yourself to death.
I think the first thing is just to shift your ideology about what balance is. First and foremost, balance does not mean equal. A lot of times we expect ourselves to be able to give to every, person in our life, every area of our life in the same way, at the same level, with the same level of energy, always and forever. And that's just an unrealistic expectation. We're not the same person every single day. Our needs shift from day to day. And it's just not humanly possible to be able to give everything to everything all at once. It's a well-known fact that we actually do not multitask. We end up putting a lot of strain on ourselves when we're trying to shift from one task to the other. So really scaling back on this idea that multitasking is the ideal, that losing sleep is the ideal, that pushing through and keeping it moving is the ideal, excuse me. I've been on social media for years now saying that keep it moving culture is toxic, especially to the Black and Brown community. We have this belief system that tells us that if we're experiencing things like anxiety and depression, that that's actually a sign of failure and weakness. So we have to continue to press up against that stigma, and shift our understanding of those wellness features being inclusive of in our path towards success.
I saw on our friend Killer Mike's page something that he posted that the night I saw it, it resonated. But the next day, I had a little frustration happen, which made it even more important. He said, I tried my best. And if that's not good enough, fuck it then. Right. And I was like, that when I saw it the first time, I was like, yeah. But then I thought about it and I said, we, especially just all of us in general, but especially as women, we try so hard. And I'm wondering if as we're getting older, do you think that it is helpful to the mental psyche to like stop trying with certain things, or is letting go a form of failure? Like, how should we process that when we feel like we've tried too much?
Right. I think that letting go is a part of wellness for sure. I think that we all have a particular relationship with control. And when we are operating within this sense of control that says that we are supposed to be able to manage and impact change on everything around us, that is actually more debilitating to our mental health than anything else. Sometimes acceptance is the best way to fall into balance. Just accepting the fact that the door did close, that the answer was no, so that you can pivot and you can shift. I'm not telling people to stop. I'm just telling them that sometimes you have to accept that that may not be what's for you. And I think that that can create a sense of resolve. But we have to understand, again, back to your ideology, your basic fundamental belief system about how life works in general has to be one that says that I understand that, my path is going to be created both through the collaboration of me wanting things and me being able to self-propel and self motivate and be ambitious, but also it's going to be a path that is sown into just the universe and things that are unseen, things that are unknown, things that we don't have ultimate and complete control over.
Yeah, we don't have ultimate and complete control over. Lately, a number of people I love, including my son, has told me that I have to work on trying to control every situation. And that is, it's hard to hear that because you feel like you're doing everything out of a good place, like trying to make sure that things are running and moving. But sometimes, I guess you do have to listen to people when they're basically telling you that instead of it feeling like love, it feels like control.
Absolutely. I think that what ends up happening is, a lot of our relationship with control is really born out of a previous trauma. You have been exposed to environments where there was a lack of control, there was a lot of chaos, and you didn't really know what the next moment or the next day was going to bring sometimes, what ends up happening is that you need everything to be in control, right? So, I think there's a little bit of a misperception there, because people will take that as you're being controlling, but what you're really looking for is everything to be stable, everything to be accounted for. You want to know where everything is, what's going on, what your role is in things, and that delivers a sense of safety and security to you. But what I oftentimes tell my clients is that everything that's functional isn't sustainable, right? So at one point in life that may have worked for you, you know what I mean? It yielded positive, results. You were able to progress and gain success by operating the way that you operate. However, trying to control absolutely everything again is ultimately debilitating to your psyche. So there will come this eventual moment where you can't continue to move forward like that. It starts to, put too much strain on your body, too much strain on your mind space, too much strain on your relationships even. So we have to dial it back, and we have to concede to, what is or what isn't, and then what we can control, what the things that we can have impact on.
That's so prolific right there. I find myself going through the same thing. Like, we all want to control, especially in the work that we do. We want to be able to control our situations. We want to be able to constantly say that we could do the work. And sometimes it gets overwhelming, especially dealing with social media in this world that we live in, where it always feels like you're not doing enough. It always feels like it's more to do, and it's more to do, and you could be doing. I find myself going through that constantly, like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I should be doing this. I should be doing this. And then trying to take on all these things by yourself. And it's because, I think for me, it's because I've been used to doing things by myself. I've been used to, if I don't really do the things, if I don't put all of these things in to it, it's not going to happen. So, it's hard, to let go of work. It's hard to ease. Like Tamika's been saying, yo, we need to people need to take a vacation. I ain't doing nothing else to after Christmas. And me hearing that is like, what do you mean? That's a whole month, and I guess for me, being in prison has a lot to do with it, right? Losing 7 years of your life and not being able to do anything for those days that I wanted to do things, and watching life pass, and watching people that I would progress to certain levels, and then feeling like I was stagnated. I feel like I have to make up time, but it's impossible for you to make up anything. You just can only move at the pace and deal with the time that you have now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what I mean by expectations. You're already successful. You're already, putting things in motion. Things are going to happen. And I'm not saying to, take the pressure off of the situation at all. I'm just saying that it's the concept of that mission in your head. You're hyper present with the reality that you lost time, but at the same time, one could say that you're right on pace, because one could say that, at a different time, things that you're manifesting today may have not manifested, so that's what I'm saying about the balance starts with your mind space first, where you can say that, yes, this was not the course that I necessarily wanted to take. And also I recognize how it's put me in position for certain things to happen. So I'm going to, apply the pressure, but I'm also not going to guilt myself. I'm not going to shame myself for what has come to pass already.
Yes, thank you. That makes a whole lot of sense. I gotta take my church advice.
That part.
Take the church advice.
Yeah,
But thank you.
we're taking a lot of stuff very serious, and there's a lot to be serious about. I oftentimes say that we wake up to be oppressed. We wake up to be attacked. We wake up to be invalidated. Tamika mentioned the Kyle Rittenhouse trial happening right now. That's abrasive. You know what I mean? To me, that's injurious. When I watch that, it injures my spirit. It impacts me, right? So we're collecting all of that every single day, just by way of our awareness. We scroll on social media and, there's someone living lavish that makes us feel insecure. There's someone getting murdered that makes us feel at risk. There's someone talking about COVID that makes us feel completely out of control and susceptible to something that, we can't even tell which direction is coming from. So at the basis of anything just has to be wellness. We have to create a regimen to where we're tending to our mind space on a regular basis.
Listen, I know you gotta go. Oh, I'm sorry, my son.
I want to ask one more thing before. So, I was just hearing in the news today something that happened with Lala, where she had some heart complications, and some people were saying it's attributed to stress and things of that nature. Like, what warning signs? Because I don't know. I'm so used to just being on 100. I'm so used to moving, and I don't take the time to even acknowledge when I'm burnt out. I don't even know how to feel. I know I'll be tired, so I'm like, let me just get some rest. After I rest, I'm back at it. So, like, are there warning signs and things that we should just look for and notice that it tells us like you're burning yourself out? You might need to just relax and get into a different space.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you asked that question, and let's send some healing and loving energy towards Lala for her recovery. But stress is and has always been the number one killer. We hear that, and I feel like we're a little dismissive to that fact. But there's so much that we can be doing to counter the effects of stress. As far as one of the things that you said that was really vital to your answer actually was that you don't take the time out, and that's why I promote meditation and mindfulness so much, because it's really the stillness that we need so that our psyche can catch up to everything that we've been enduring all along. You just have to let yourself be still. All of the warning signs are there for you. All of the signals. Your body is so communicative all of the time. It's telling you what's going on. Those little strains and pains in the back of our neck, the headache that you've had for 2 days, your stomach is upset, your limbs are aching, your fingers, your toes, everything is in pain. That is the warning sign to let you know that your body is in distress, and to understand that you at least need to stand still long enough to make the connections and understand what's going on. I will say this, that sleep is a non-negotiable. Something that is well known in my field is that sleep alone can induce you into psychosis. It can induce you into depression. It can induce you into anxiety. The first thing that we do when someone comes into the hospital is give them a sleep aid. And the next day when they wake up, almost about 25-30% of their symptoms have decreased. So being able to have a good sleep regimen, being able to have a balanced diet, being able to have an exercise regimen, just getting those endorphins in can really impact how stress is impacting you. So just starting with those fundamentals first.
I know you have to go, and sleep is a non-negotiable, which is something that I don't get enough of. So I know you know. The other day, Latoya says to me, you text late and early. I just can't figure out, like, at what point does the sleep happen? But I do sleep sometimes. But anyway, my last thing for you is, do therapists have it all together? Like, if you're a therapist, you're a psychotherapist, you're a psychologist, do y'all have it all?
All
Yeah,
No, absolutely not. Therapists are people too, and that's another thing that was what I wanted to denote when I created the modern therapist persona. I wanted people to see me being a regular schmegular person that has issues. I say this spiel to my clients when I have a consultation. I said, she got issues too. She is not here to be the example of how to be perfect. She is here to be the example of someone who wakes up every day for challenges and uses the same skills and tools that she imparts to you to make sure that she can have a balance of life and she could wake up for the next day thereafter. When I have a client come in, I say, I'm not the expert in the room. You're the expert on you. You bring what you have. I know human behavior. I know life. I know, being a human and trying to figure out your psyche, and we're going to put that together and we're going to figure it out together. So absolutely not.
Ah, well,
Chain.
Good, because I ain't crazy. You know, at least we all got a little stuff.
No, we all got some stuff.
thank you so much, Precious. I appreciate you so much. And, the knowledge that you're imparting on us that we want to share with the broader audience is something that should just be uplifted every second of the day. Like every space you turn to, there should be places to get little nuggets about how to manage just our lives, because there's so much that's controllable and so much that is not. That's happening to us every minute of the day. And if you're a parent, if you work in the world, especially in my, this is my thing. You didn't say this. I am saying it. If you work around white people every day, you stressed out if you're a person of color. Absolutely, because it's a very difficult place to try to manage all the microaggressions, all the misunderstandings, trying not to speak too loud, be too threatening, and also dealing with the injustice of just trying to climb ladders and seeing people that are not even as good as you be able to rise above you. That's a lot. And we do find ourselves working ourselves to death, literally working ourselves to death, trying to be as good, trying to be as noticed, trying to be as fly, trying to just
as fly, because you got to be 10 times
flyer.
Yes.
In order to compete with that. That's the reality.
Faster, yes.
Faster, stronger, and whatever I was going to say, and longer, but I think that's for a different show. So for today, thank you so much, Precious. Oh Lord, Precious, why today?
Today, just because I said you always get it right, that's it. It messed you all up.
Precious
Avorkliyah.
I got it. Precious
I got it.
Avorkliyah. I love you so much. Thank you for
love you.
Thank you so much for having me.
The skin is looking beautiful.
Thank you.
Look at that melanin popping. Go ahead.
I appreciate you guys so much.
Have a good day.
Have a great day.
That's how we own it. That's how we own it.
Precious is just so dope, man. She has a energy, and you can realize certain people just have callings on their life, right? Like when I used to, when I work with Precious and she calls and we got to communicate, she's just so easy to talk to, right? She just seems like she's just so serene. She has this energy that makes you just feel comfortable. So when all of these things that she do, these ologies and ologists, they really fit her, man. So it's dope just hearing that and her being able to actually confirm some of the things that we know about our own selves. I think when it comes to mental health and meditation and just having someone who psychoanalyzes you, I think what they actually do is make you realize things that you already know. I think that's what the good ones do.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% about that. I think sometimes when we hear things about ourselves, it hurts because you think that, wow, I didn't know that I was doing this, or I was presenting myself in a certain way to people. But having the safe space of a therapist to try to help work through what it means, and being in a space where it's not contentious, but rather it's supportive and reassuring is important. And that's what Precious is. She's the type of person that could take, and in fact, my relationship with Precious becomes as strong as it ever has been in 2019 when I became addicted to pain pills. That's when she and I got to be really close, because I saw the addiction as my weakness, as the worst place that I've ever been in my life. And not to say it's not, it doesn't mean that it's not, but I saw it as being not the end of me, but I saw it as being like a real telltale sign that I wasn't the person I believed. And she took it and reaffirmed me and really walked me through all the steps that led to that moment that were beyond the the public crisis that I was going through. But even things from when I was younger, from moments in my life when I felt not included, not good enough, when I felt like I wasn't doing whatever my family needed me to do, or the man that I was with, or whatever. And she was able to show me that the breakdown I was having was a culmination of many things. And the public terror, if you will, the public moment that I had was only like the, what do you call it? It was the top of the rock. It was the top of the rock, you know? And I didn't think about that. So I was, oh my God, how could people do this to me? It broke me down. And then she was like, yeah, but what about this and that and the third? And I was like, wow, I have a lot of processing to do. So I think, you know, she has a skill set. And by the way, even the psychiatrist that I work with now, which is different from what Precious does, this psychiatrist that I work with every day, or not every day, I need him every day, but the psychiatrist that I work with, you know, he's amazing. And recently I was going through something and I called him and was like, yo, dude, like for real, like just this and that. And he was there for me. But it's not the same thing like having a Black woman understand other Black women. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Even when I'm speaking to him, he is so firmly clear about what I need to do. So firmly clear. Like every other Black man that I'm close to, firmly clear. But when speaking to Precious, she's, as a Black woman, is willing to get in my mess and whittle around in all of my, I don't know. So I think you might need 2 therapists in your life.
I gotta get me one, because you know, I've been trying to psychoanalyze myself and be my own therapist for years, man. So I need somebody else to pour into. So I gotta start searching into that.
Professional skills. So now, the other thing that drives us crazy is what we're going to, right? The other thing is our money, you know, spending it right, spending it wrong, holding it forever, thinking it's going to somehow or another just double itself, triple itself. You know, I have family members. I have an uncle, his money is buried in the yard somewhere. And there are people, by the way, who's sitting around knowing it's got to be somewhere around. So they'll wait, you know, they don't want him to die. But if he does, they're going to tear up everything looking for it, because they know he's been sitting on his money. That's just how he is, you know. So some people, everybody has a different relationship with money, and it can be very stressful. It can be either not enough, having too much and not knowing what to do with it. All of those things can be very, very stressful. And so today we're going to be talking to another friend to street politicians, Shakera Green, she calls herself a financial activist. I like that, a financial activist. And
I never heard that one. That's good.
And she's coming right up to talk to us about our money, because money matters.
Oh, Shakera, tell me some things about this chicken.
That's how we own it. That's how we own it.
So as we mentioned, another one of our friends joining the show today, Miss Shakera Green, who is a financial expert for 18 years, over 18 years. She's been in banking and finance, but she's on this show today as the finance activist, the financial activist.
I love that.
We need. So Shakera, thanks for coming on. You know, you my pretty friend. My pretty friend.
Thank you, Tamika. Thank you, Mysonne. Thank you so much for having me on today. A conversation that's much needed to have, especially in our community.
That's right. So how do we get money? We just want to.
Let's just get right to it.
How we gonna get rich? What we need to do right now to get rich?
What we need to do, well, the first thing we need to do is begin to shift our mindset. You know, it's how you think about money. How do you view money? Money is, for me, an avenue for freedom, right? It's a tool that we can use to create the business that we're passionate about, travel the world, you know, get experiences, send our children to college, whatever it is that you're passionate about. For me, money is a tool and a vehicle to help you get there, to give back to our community, to help other people who are less fortunate. And so I think the first thing we need to do, whether you have money or you're trying to acquire it, is begin to shift your mindset and evaluate what's your relationship with money. You know, for years, my relationship with money was funny. And so I had to be honest about myself. How was I showing up in that relationship? And it started with me taking a look at how was I raised, and what were some of the things that were installed in me. My grandmother, for instance, I'll take her. You know, she told my mother and my aunt to never move out of the projects, because in her mindset, that meant that they would always have a roof over their head if they could live in subsidized living. Mm-hmm. You know, she couldn't fathom her granddaughter probably owning multiple properties. You know, I remember she used to say to us when we was little, when you walk out this house, you represent us. And so that means you always look your best. And so in translation, every time I went out and had an interview or a new job or somewhere to go, I was running out and I was buying a new outfit. Whether I could afford it or not, it didn't matter, as long as you look good, because that was what my grandmother taught us, right? And so I began to just kind of shifting the mindset and think about, how am I using my money and my lifestyle? If this pandemic didn't teach us anything, it taught us how much we were spending frivolously. Mm-hmm. Between brunches and just shopping and just being outside, period, is going to cost you, right? So I always tell people it starts with you shifting your mindset and reevaluating your relationship with your money.
Mm. So the reason why I thought the financial activist component was so important, and particularly in the context of this show, is that we were just talking about working ourselves to death with our friend Precious, who is a psychotherapist, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I also think we can worry about money as well in a way that's unhealthy. Either worrying about not enough or having much, and either not knowing what to do with it or worrying about losing it. I find myself hoarding my money. And mm-hmm. I've learned that is not the right thing to do, because the IRS just loves it. It's like the best thing in the world. People who don't know that when you get money, you should spend some of it, but you got to spend it the right way. And because I don't necessarily always know, it's so many people in my ear telling me how to spend my money. I've got marijuana investors asking me to put money there. I've got people saying, let's flip these houses. I've got mm-hmm. People saying, do this business, that thing. My son has ideas. Everywhere I turn, and I also have ideas. So I mm-hmm. find myself just being like, to hell with it. I'm just going to hold my money and hopefully God will come and tell me in my ear in the middle of the night what I should do.
Which is not healthy. And you hit it right on the nail. Money is the number one stressor that people have. It's also the number one reason why folks get divorced. 46% of Americans say that they don't have $400 saved for an emergency. Prior to the pandemic happening, 80% of Americans was living paycheck to paycheck. God knows, I'm sure that number has skyrocketed since then. But all of these statistics go back and show you why it's important. And the reason why I call myself a financial activist is because I'm on this journey to continuously educate people about their finances, particularly in communities where you and I come from, where this information is not taught to us. It's not installed in us. You know, my mom was a single parent, raising two children. In an urban community. And so I didn't go to college. I didn't go to school with the tools and resources to understand credit, to understand investing. And as I got into the banking industry, this is where I began to learn and became self-aware that, wow, this is not taught to my people. When I went to school, there was someone on college campus giving out applications for a credit card. And that's how I got my first credit card, which was Discover. And boy, did I discover. I discovered everything I shouldn't have done. I went straight to the Gucci store. I don't think I had enough for the bag. But those are some experiences that I know many people in our audience could relate to, of just not being taught the knowledge from home. And this is why I think it's important that now I love it that everyone wants to have the conversation. So to you, all of those things that you mentioned are great things to invest in. You just have to figure out what works best for you and what's in your risk tolerance.
What's in your risk tolerance?
I can't lose nothing. So
But
I need a sure thing. I need me a sure thing, man, because I can't risk nothing at all.
But you know the old saying, scared money don't make no money. So you do have to be willing to do some type of investing. So let's talk about it, right? Like for me, the one thing that I always promote is home ownership. I think that for the average person in America, home ownership is the easiest way to start building wealth and to build a legacy. I'm an investor, real estate investor. And I mean, there's multiple ways that you could do it. I'm super conservative like you, my son. So I get it. I don't want to lose any money either. I need to sleep good at night with some of my investments. But home ownership is a way that you can get in. Your home is going to appreciate. It's going to build value, cash value that you can pull out and you can, purchase other properties or start that business that you want. So I always say, go sit down with a financial advisor, talk about home ownership. How could you get into it? So many different programs that will allow you to get in there to put 3.5% down, 5% down. There's so many different vehicles out there. You just got to do the homework and the research.
Got to do the homework and the research, my son. That's what we've been saying.
We've been working. We've been as an organization, we've been looking into a lot of different, ventures that we want to tackle into. I've been looking. We all been coming back to the table with, hey, we should probably do this. So, it's a process, but I think we're moving in the right direction, and some things that we want to get into. So
we're 40 plus. So we out the game. It's too old. Like, should we have been doing it so much earlier that now we're so far behind, we can't catch up? Like, these are things that people really do feel.
Absolutely. It's never too late to get in the game. Of course, if you can get in there earlier, please. There's plenty of times I'm like, I wish that I started investing when I was 20, in my 20s, but I wasn't. I didn't have the knowledge. So when you know better, you do better. But to that person that feels discouraged, that feels like I'm too old, or, I can't get in, or I don't make enough money, it's never too late to get into the game and start investing. Another thing I think we need to think about is how do we leverage our credit? Our credit goals and our savings goals need to be aligned. Let me give you a perfect example. And these are basic tips that the average person can apply. I pay everything every month on my credit card. At the end of the month, I pay the credit card off before the 28th day. The reason why I do that is I accumulate points. And then the points allow me to offset my gas expense. I'll go get gift cards. I'll redeem my points for gift cards, and then that'll offset my gas expense. Or if I'm traveling, that's how I'll comp an airline ticket or a hotel room. When I pay my Verizon bill with my credit card, it allows me to not have cell phone insurance, which I'm saving $45 a month by avoiding paying Verizon $15 per line. I have a line for me and both of my daughters. But if you pay with your credit card gives you cell phone insurance, and you're allowed to put 2 claims a month. These are little tips that people don't know and don't leverage. Also, there's a lot of folks that have children that are going to college, right? If you have a child and you really aren't prepared to pay for college, if you have good credit, you can put them on one of your credit cards as an authorized signer and have that child at age 16 to 18 start to build up some credit. So when they go to college and they fill out applications, they now can qualify for the best student loans or get the best interest rates. Mm-hmm. So again, small little tips.
You use your credit card. It's like everything I learned is up in the air whenever I talk to financial experts, because, and I'm doing it now. Now I am using my finance manager is so desperate for me to use the credit card for everything. Yet my relationship with my credit card is so scary, because I was proud of the fact that if I don't have the cash, I'm not going to buy it. Like, that was my mindset. And y'all are saying something completely different.
Completely different. Completely different. And
so you pay the whole card off before the.
So yeah, so full disclaimer, because this isn't for everybody. You have to be organized and you have to be disciplined. You want to pay that bill off within the 28 days so that you do not assess any interest, So I'm paying the whole thing off, but I could afford that. And I'm also structured and organized with a financial calendar. which every week I'm analyzing my finances and I'm going online, checking my online banking, right? And I could be anywhere, whether I'm traveling, I get alerts on my phone. So it's you have to be disciplined and organized and structured, but I pay the whole bill off. I don't accrue any interest, but I get the points. And the points allow me, like I said, if you live paycheck to paycheck, that person's mindset is, how can I save? My bills are my bills and what I make is what I make. So you have to find creative other ways to save money. So now you can redeem those points. How much do you spend on gas? At least $150 a month, the average person. So now those gift cards pay your gas. Now you saved yourself $150, put that away every month and start saving. So again,
white people know about this stuff, right?
Of course. I met a lady on a plane. I'm on my way to Costa Rica, and they were celebrating their 20th year anniversary. It was she, her husband, her mother-in-law, and 3 children. And she told me she paid $500 for that trip. I said, well, how did you do that? By utilizing her points. She was able to comp all the airline tickets and get a major discount on the hotel that she was staying in.
One more thing on you from here. This is my interview because you my friend, and therefore
I'm taking notes, man.
Yeah. I have 1.5 million miles.
Okay.
In one airline. You can't pay me to use my miles. You can't. Like you could be like, I'm gonna give you cash if you would use those miles. I will not use them. Everybody tells me I'm crazy. I have another colleague that I work with that has 2.3 million miles, and he feels the same way, scared to use the miles. But other people just be using their miles, just flipping them. And what are you
afraid of?
Here?
What are you afraid of?
My son has almost 1 million miles that he doesn't use.
What are you?
I don't know nothing about the miles though, so I don't really. I just give them a plane, man. That's all I do.
You listen, if you don't want to use them, give them to me. Transfer them over. But it's also too, a lot of people don't know, you can use your points to donate to organizations. So, I sit on the board of the Urban League of Essex County, and you guys have an amazing nonprofit organization, Until Freedom. Folks can also redeem their points and donate to your organization. So I know Giving Tuesday is coming up. That's a great way to plug in and to allow people to give back to an organization that is doing the work and that's at the front of the four lines. So think about that as well.
So use the miles.
Use the miles. Use the miles. Very important.
All of them, or get it down to 200,000? Like what would be your comfortable space?
I mean, it depends. How often do you travel? You always on a plane. So I don't understand. You're always traveling, especially for work. So use your points, but we could set up some time offline if you want. And I'll help you.
And now she want to help me use my.
Listen,
I'll help you transfer them to me.
We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Awesomeness you brought. I got to start thinking about my relationship with money. Relationship with money. That's a thing.
Start in your relationship with your bank is important.
His relationship with money is don't ask him for none. Don't ask him how much he has, and he ain't spending it unless he has to. And anybody that asks him for anything got to work for it because they just not gonna get his money for free. That's literally it.
That's it.
Don't ask for none.
I come from nothing. So when you come from zero, you know how it is to have zero. You just want to make sure that you're comfortable. You want to make sure the things that you need to do, that you're able to do. I don't like to just waste money because I don't have, what I realized for me, I don't have value for money. Like money is something that I use as a resource. It ain't something that I idolize, that I chase. You understand what I'm saying? I don't chase, like there's a lot of people do things just for money. Like I know a lot of people that make a lot and they do it because that's what drives them. Money is not my driving force. My driving force is about, the work that we do, just seeing things progress, trying to just make things better. So when I accumulate money, I understand that the work and the things that I do is not the things that just automatically bring you a lot of money. So I got to make sure that money I got does the things that it needs to do. So,
Right.
that's why I was thinking my relationship with money is like, we cool, we date from time to time, but I ain't married to money. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even thinking about getting married, but I understand that they cool and I need her. I realize that we need to have some level of relationship, but I have never been married to money.
Yeah, and a lot of people have that mindset, especially I could totally relate to not coming from it and struggling. And so when you do get it, you want to build it, protect it, and preserve it. But you must think, and then I'm going to tell you why. I posted something on my page today. So for you guys to please go follow me. I am _Shakera Green on Instagram. But the inflation, so I went to the grocery store Sunday, and a turkey was $60. I was blown away. I said, I don't care how much money I have. I'm not paying $60 for no turkey.
$60. I might not be giving
But inflation.
This might not work.
No,
inflation
turkeys are $60,
$60.
Yes.
Yeah. So inflation is through the roof. The cost of living is through the roof. I mean, eggs have tripled in price. Milk, these are things that we need, to survive. So you have to be thinking about how your money's doing, my son, because your money needs to work for you so that you can continue to just survive, to be honest with you. It's no longer an option to have multiple streams of income. I think everyone needs to have the mindset of how am I generating different multiple streams of income just to live comfortably. So something to think about.
So you're saying that I cannot get the newest, when Hermes restocks Birkin for Christmas, you're trying to tell me because I'm like, I'm in line, okay? I'm in line, and you saying take it and do something different.
Invest in it. You know what? I'm, Tamika, I'm that girl too. I love a nice Chanel bag.
We know.
But buy a house first. I buy a property and then I get a Chanel, and my tenants pay for my Chanel bag. It's not money that I'm paying for out of my income, right? It's being generated from multiple properties. And so that's my ask for everybody, just to go out and just think about other ways that you can invest. We all like nice things. I'm not saying that, but you need to make smart decisions. And I'm not out here spending $5,000 on a bag. My tenants are paying that. I have 8 different properties that bring in income for me.
Okay, this is my last question. I'm gonna let you go.
Mm-hmm.
So I have tenants. I have a tenant.
Okay.
And it's always some drama, right? Some of it is my fault, right? Some of it is my fault. Some of it is just old houses, it's old, it's broke down. That's just the way it is, right? What about that fear of people being like, I want to own, but then I got to fix shit. I got to fix shit. I got to stay on top of it. It's another thing to manage in your life.
But the thing is, once you start to understand how it works, and then you start seeing the risk versus the reward, and you see how much it actually costs to fix these things versus how much you actually make. And then you have certain people that you hire that are going to be able to do those things at a certain time. So it's going to make sense. The money that you make is going to supersede the amount of work that you pay somebody else to do anyway. So then, once you know that you can just pick up a phone, okay, this was wrong. Okay, let me call such and such. We have this contractor that's going to do this. We got this contractor to do this. And I think it starts to become like a well-oiled machine.
Exactly. And then Tamika, there's situations where, like I don't have the time. I don't manage these properties. I have a property management company that manage them. In fact, most of them are out of state. There's only one that I personally am hands-on with, which is the one in New Jersey. So that property management company takes care of everything. I have peace of mind. If something goes wrong, they call a vendor, they take care of it, comes out of my cash flow, but it's not something that I have to deal with. And it's few and far in between. So to my son's point, I think he hit it spot on. The cash flow that you're getting on a monthly basis will oversee if something pops up here and there. But of course, we got to do our homework, and you don't want to be a bad scum landlord.
No, no slumlords here. No slumlords.
No slumlords. Right.
Thank you, Shakera. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much. We'll be in contact.
Oh, wait,
Okay.
wait. I know we have to go, and I have the nerve to be making this interview longer. Knowing that I have to go. It's the holidays. We didn't talk about the holidays are coming. It's Black Friday. They already, listen, we went from Halloween to Christmas, and it looks
did.
like Thanksgiving is going to be a stop in the middle, but it's hybrid Christmas. There are Black Friday sales already, and we're not even at the week of Thanksgiving. We're just a week away. What do you tell people about this? You know, people have this real thing happening. For 2 years, been in the house, we haven't been anywhere. I really wasn't, going out doing the things that things weren't in stock. You couldn't get things. Now I want to enjoy myself. I want things that make me feel special, happy, or whatever. This is how we can close this. What's your message about this holiday season and how we should be spending money?
So listen, people are going to buy, right? Like you said, we have children. We don't want to take away from the kids' experience or traditions, and different cultures do different things. If you're going to spend, get the best deal, spend responsibly, use those points that we talked about today, and try not to put it on credit. If you could afford it, pay it cash or put it on your card. And what I mean by pay it cash is pay it back off on your card right away. But don't accumulate interest, don't accumulate more debt, because then January is going to come around and then here you are writing your financial goals again, and you're going to be back talking about this debt that you've accumulated and that you have to pay off. I also like to say, pay yourself. When you pay yourself automatically, then you have a certain amount of money set aside for holidays or travels in the summertime. So get in the habit of start figuring out what could you afford and set up some type of auto transfer into a separate saving account. And that'll help you during the holiday seasons where you'll have extra cash put aside and don't have to have that extra stress or burden or accumulate unnecessary debt.
Put money aside all year for your moments, your holiday, your summer, your splurges. You got to take that little whatever, $150, $200 and tuck it away. So you're not like, oh my God, we can't pay the rent because we got to buy Christmas presents.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you, Shakera. That's good stuff, isn't it? Am I
Smart.
Yes.
You're smart.
She is smart. She
Smart,
is
you
kind.
Oh, you got it going on.
Yes, she does. Thank you.
This is
Shakera.
why we have to share with our community, because we want everybody to have it going on.
Well, thank you for sharing with the Street Politicians community, and we will certainly have you back. Shakera Green.
Thank you. All right, take care. Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
That's how we own it. That's how we own it.
Shakera, she's so fly everything, really. I mean, I know her, have spent time with her on trips and different places, and we didn't get to talk about her story, but she often tells it, and because she's not here, I won't get too deep into it, but she's got a story, a real story that will really just blow your mind. And she's so inspiring. So I know when she says that she didn't come from much, she really, really didn't. And yet she's in the position she's in now. She's saying 8 properties. Anybody can do it. Really, anybody can do it. But it's a mind state. And not everybody has the mindset. So anybody can do it, but not everybody has the mindset to get it done. And I
think it's a discipline and really just setting your mind to say, this is what I'm going to do. It's like anything else. When we make up our minds and say, okay, I'm really focused on this, and we do it and we buckle down. And then once you start to see it working, it becomes natural, right? Once you start to see it, you do it, and you start to say, oh, I just made 10,000. Now it becomes fun. It becomes the normal thing. It's routine. It's like they say you got to do something for 2 weeks straight to make it become a habit. So I think what you got to do is really sit down and then really say, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm focusing this 2 weeks straight to doing this and accomplishing it. And we'll start seeing, reaping the benefits of it, and start making our money make money for us. That's the key. Make your money make money.
Make your money make money. That's the thing. It's like I can't say that I'm risk adverse 100%, because I'm not. But certainly I find myself being paralyzed because of having too many options. And I think that's also the thing is she actually made a very good point, which is to decide what is your risk level, like how much can you lose? Can you lose 50,000? Can you lose 100,000? Because I don't want to lose anything, but I get the point about, you know, being able to do a risk assessment, but then also really deciding what works for you. Do you want to be the person that gets a phone call that something is wrong in the house? Do you want to be the person that doesn't know exactly where the marijuana industry is going to go? Like there's so many ways that it can go, but yet you believe that, hey, this might work for me. So this is something I want to be in. Do you want to be the crypto? I see the NFTs, all of these things. Like, are you prepared to learn the industry and park your money and maybe lose? I feel like
I gotta interrupt you. That's I don't get it. I don't get why we as people have no problem putting our money into something that ain't gonna make no money. We'll spend 15,000, we'll spend 2,000-3,000 on some jeans, a new jacket, we'll spend 5,000 on a purse, all types of things, and have no problem just losing that money. But when we talk about investing some money that could quadruple, that could triple, we have to think about it. We don't have to think about putting our money into our 10,000 on the bag we want. We don't have to think about putting 50,000 on the car we want. We don't have to think about putting 20,000 on the chain we want, but talk about investing that money into something that could possibly turn into 5 and 6 times what it was. We got to sit there and be like, damn, I'm scared to lose my money. But you lose it when you buy shit that ain't gonna come back anyway.
But I have an answer for that. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. Number one, I don't know who's buying $2,000 jeans, but I know I have none of them. And hopefully you don't have them either.
I'm talking about this culture. They talk about how the jeans cost $2,000.
Yeah, because those are Mary's, like this is expensive stuff. So I guess you're right. I think that the thing is that you have a product in your hand, right? So people, you know, say what you want. Like, oh, Tamika, Mallory, you know, she has expensive bags. Yeah, I do. And I work freaking hard to be able to have whatever it is that I want. And so for me, well, first of all, my Birkins and everything that I have that's in the Hermes family, the resale value is crazy. I'm not reselling it. Of course I'm not. I'm keeping them for the rest of my life. But not everything depreciates. So it's not true that everything depreciates. I bought a bag at one
time. You the resale value is more than what you paid?
Whoa. I bought a bag that was X amount of dollars. Not cheap. I went back and looked at like what people are selling them for, because you know there's sites out there where you can post your stuff, and people do that with watches. People hold on to things, and when they're in trouble, they might go sell their stuff. Guess what? 4 times the amount. 4 times the amount. Now that's today. There may come a time when there's racism in the store, or there is, you know, some other issue, animal, you know, cruelty, or you find out where the stuff is being made in a factory. There are different things politically and morally that can get in a brand's way. And at that point, it hurts the brand's image, and therefore people don't want it, and they've moved on to something else, right? What's that liquor that we were talking about that the other day? Cristal. They still can't get people to really put it back in the rotation of the clubs and what have you. And we see Ace of Spades is a thing, right? Jay said, to hell with Cristal, and then here we are. So that can happen to the brand. And so your quote unquote investment might not be as valuable as it could have been at one time. But if I sold my Birkins right now, I could make X amount of dollars. That is way more. So I'm only bringing that point up because that's one aspect.
For the most part. Yeah,
no, I'm just bringing that up because that's one aspect. That's one aspect. Doesn't mean still that we should do more shopping in stores than we do investing. And I totally agree with you. So I just want to make sure I say that, because I don't want anybody to get the impression that I'm talking about bags being more important than investments, because that's not even a question. And I'm certainly, in my life, I have enough stuff, I've accumulated enough that I don't need another thing. So we're not talking about that. But what I will say is that people want something in their hand for their money. So when they go to the store and their shirt is $100, $200, $2,000, they going home with that shirt. The shirt might not be good in 2 months, 3 months, or whatever, all of those things, I get it. But they have the shirt in their hand at the time for the money they spent. With certain investments, you said your point is, it could do this, that, and the third. It could. And I think for some people, it's the thought that I could take this $2,000 and go on a vacation and have my memories and my experience, or I could go online and transfer $2,000 to Robinhood and Stash and all of these websites. And then some shit that happens in the atmosphere that I don't even know about. Other people are manipulating numbers and this and that out in the world. And the next thing you know, the $2,000 that I had turns into $0. And
but at the end of the day,
mm-hmm.
no, I hear what you're saying. But for the most part, most products depreciate.
Of course they do. But I'm just saying, I still have the thing.
But even if you have it, you probably have, and a lot of people probably have things that they've spent $10,000 and $15,000 on that they don't wear at all. It's probably completely out of style. You like, I would never wear it again.
It's never out of style. Well, it's just out of rotation.
Okay, it's out of rotation. You probably don't even like it no more.
That's true.
You know, it's things like that. But I'm just saying that we have this block when it comes to investing. And it's a mind state that, I don't want to put my money in because, what if I lose my money? What if, I'm not sure about this. And we don't really have the same fear of just spending our money on shit that it's objects and items.
I know, I agree with you 1,000% that we spend frivolous money on frivolous things that can't do anything for us in terms of the larger goals that we have in life. And I have learned my lesson about that. I agree with Shakera and what she said, that, our relationship with money can be based upon what we didn't learn, what we didn't know. And it's not personal. My parents didn't know, right? They didn't know. They had a little checkbook and they put their information, they put their information in there and lined up how much they spent. But it doesn't mean that they realized, rather than getting a co-op, which I really don't necessarily own, I should go ahead and buy this house, right? My mom was like, I want to buy this house. I want to buy this house. But my father was like, we don't need to do that, because he's the type of person that his relationship with money is the same. He want to make sure any emergency, he good. My father is the man. He gonna be good. He gonna take, if you call him right now and say, Daddy, I'm in trouble, he might not have 500,000 to get you out, which shit, he might, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But that might not, I'm not talking about at that level, but certainly he can pretty much get his family members out of any situation that they're in, his children, his grandchildren, because he always keeps his money situated to be able to do that. There are other people that toss it all to the wall. And then they end up having even more, you know what I'm saying? But some people lose. So it is a very touch and go situation. And the point that she made is so important about that risk, being able to decide, what is my risk level? How much can I lose? And I think it's in comparison, Mice, to, or it goes along with what Precious is talking about. The trauma that we have sets the tone for so many things, the way in which we move and operate every single day. And a part of why why I am unwilling to just invest in certain ideas and certain things that I don't know or understand enough about is because I do want to control the things around me and have safety. She says safety and security. And that's what it makes me feel unsafe to just put my money in the world and hope it works out.
Well, I think we have to start enhancing and building our mentality, especially when it comes to money. I notice in the Black community, a lot of us do get it, but there's a lot of us that just are still more consumer based than investment based. And I think that mindset, that's what we have to flip and get more in investment and saying, like she said, I'm not gonna buy this Birkin bag. I'm gonna let this real estate that I brought and let these, the rent that they pay me for it, buy the bags. And when we start thinking like that, and we start thinking 3 steps ahead, I think it's gonna pan out a lot better for us.
Facts.
And with that said, another dope episode. Shout out to both our guests who had a lot to offer us. I need me somebody to get in my brain, and I definitely need me a few more dollars, man. So thanks Precious and Shakera for coming on our show. We're not gonna always be right. Tamika's not gonna always be wrong, but we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic. Thank you for tuning in to the #1 show in the world, Street Politicians.
#1 in our hearts. But take us to #1 on the charts, baby. Download, subscribe, click, and share with your friends.
Subscribe.
Peace.
Listen to Street Politicians on the Black Effect Network on iHeartRadio.
And catch us every single Wednesday for the video version of Street Politicians on iWomen.tv. That's how we own it.